This is the Carty Method Podcast.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Carty Method Podcast. Today we are doing the very first ever beginner photo reviews. I'm so excited about this. We didn't have that many people submit, but I think this is because, honestly believe this is because it's the first round. People want to see, hey, what's this whole beginner thing about? And maybe you didn't even know that I'm now adding a second photo review show. Some people feel like my photo reviews are a little bit advanced for them, but they still want to watch me. So I'm now opening my photo reviews up to more shooters. So how I'm doing it is Tuesday is for foundations, the fundamentals, the beginners, people who are new to photography. On Tuesday, I'm going to be reviewing your photos. I'm going to give an assignment that's specifically designated for beginners that are going to help you understand all the different aspects of photography while you're having your photos reviewed. I'm going to be giving you aperture assignment, shutter speed assignments, ISO assignments, so you can learn photography while you're making photography. I think it's a super cool way to do it, which means the assignment wheel of destiny for fundamentals, for beginners, for the new photographers. So we're going to be spinning the wheel, which will tell you what I'm looking at next week. And also, although, yes, it is going to be fun when you pull pictures from your archives and show me your photography. If you're a new photographer, what's going to be even better is if you have a 34-year pro telling you exactly what you should shoot at the level that you're at right now. This is what you should be learning. This is what you should be focusing on. And these assignments are going to give you an understanding. You're going to be learning photography in a way that's actually also going to be making great work. And I'm going to help you graduate to the point where you're ready to do my pro level assignments. And my pro level assignments, they happen on Thursdays. Thursday, I give an incredibly tight brief to photographers who are trying to be an emerging pro. And those photographers have a very tight deadline to create a new image exactly to brief, including whether it's vertical, horizontal, what you're shooting, what the purpose is for. So that happens Thursday. That show has been going on for 3.5 years, but we are starting anew with this foundations, fundamentals, beginner photography show. And the thing about the beginner live streams, and I'm only able to look at like the first 30 photos. So the whole idea about this is like join the assignment and then submit and make the deadline. And the deadline is the day before at midnight. So if it's Tuesday, I'm going to give you an assignment at the end of this episode, and then now you have until Monday at midnight to submit it. But guess what? I'm only looking at the first 30 photos. So that also means you better start quick and submit quick so you make the deadline, because it's going to be impossible for me to look at 50, 60, 70, 80 photos. But how you participate is simply by going to thecartymethod.com. You'll see my YouTube submissions link and click that, sign up, and that will unlock my community. And it actually, by signing up for my YouTube photo reviews, it actually includes my mentorship community. I include that in the price. The mentorship community I charge $10 a month for, and I include the mentorship community if you sign up for photo reviews. They're both included. But if you've signed up for my mentorship community and you want to upgrade to photo reviews, you're already paying $10 a month, you want to upgrade to photo reviews, if you upgrade, it'll show you an offer code. So it'll give you an offer code when you're upgrading to give you $10 off my photo reviews forever, as long as you're paying the $10 for my community. So it still ends up being $27, whether you're joining community first, then photo reviews, or just joining my photo reviews. It's the same price. All right, so that is the housekeeping. Are you ready for this week's? And again, this week's assignment was very loose, and I set it on Thursday last week. So you didn't really have a lot of time to submit photos. So there aren't a lot of submissions. So we're going to look through the submissions. I'm going to do some reviews, and then I'm going to talk about the Tuesday after party that we do, and just some things that I'm going to be doing to change that to make it actually kind of cooler and more of an incentive for you to join. By the way, of course, my photo reviews are members only chat. Sometimes my live streams are members only, period. Like only members can watch them. Sometimes I do that. I need to increase the amount of members that I have on this channel so I can continue to bring you commercial free content. As people don't renew their memberships or they cancel their memberships, when those numbers go down, that means like I have to rely more on advertising dollars in order to make it so this is worth my while. So in order to do that, I need to encourage members. And then how I'm doing that is by giving more content to the people who choose to join this channel. So if you want to become a member, it's super easy. All you need to do is hit the join button here. And that unlocks emotes, a crown next to your name, access to all my live streams and all my live chats. And yeah, it's a great way to support this stream and continue, so I can continue to bring you commercial free content. So this week's weekly fundamentals assignment, I asked to see your people photographs. Each week you can submit one photograph to an assignment folder, meaning you can submit either to the fundamentals folder or to the professional assignments, but not both. So this week, let's see your people photographs. Rule: one photograph. The person must be the main subject and no iPhoneography. That, by the way, that holds true for all my assignments. I don't care if you have an iPhone 16. I don't care. I'm not reviewing iPhone photos. The whole idea is interchangeable lens cameras, so you can really grow with photography. That's what I want to look at. All right. So basically, I've asked you to include the camera make model as well as the lens that you just shot, max aperture. Hey, Spanish soap. Let's go. Spanish soap. See, what happens when you become a member? What happens when you become a member is I bring the atmosphere, and you becoming a member live while this happens, that means like, oh my God, I put your name on the screen. A lovely girl says new member, and you get the smoke. So Spanish soap, welcome to all access pass to the Carty Method channel. Welcome. And also you'll see my crew is the best ever, meaning the people who support the people who are also Carty crew members and my moderators and staff. They're brilliant. So guys, I am looking at your people photographs today. So first submitter is Ken LeBlanc. Ken says, hey, Carty, I just wanted to express my gratitude for the abundance of information that you share here via YouTube. This is one of my club brothers who is a legend in the motorcycle community here in Alberta. It was taken at an 80th of a second, f1.2, ISO 800, 50 millimeter, and this is a ZVE 10. I'm new to the world of photography, 4 months old. I'm grateful for any insights that you have to share with me and look forward to this journey. Have a great week. This, ladies and gentlemen, ladies, oh my goodness, give me my right click here proper. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Ken LeBlanc. Ken. Well, Ken, right off the bat, I can tell you what's happening, and I can tell you why. Number one, your photo is extremely out of focus. The reason is because you have a 1.4 lens, and you think because my lens goes to 1.4, I should always shoot at 1.4. Now, you're realizing, and you're going to realize quick with watching my channel and watching my photo reviews, that wide open is actually the worst aperture to shoot at. Wide open, especially if you're new. Wide open. And again, I'm 34-year experience pro. I'm 54 years old. I started making photos when I was 14. Went professional when I was 20 after a high school that had photography from age 14 to 18. Shot models, blah, blah, blah. My story is irrelevant. The point is that early on, you realize that just because your camera can do a certain thing, just because your lens can do a certain thing, doesn't mean that you should shoot wide open. The whole idea about a super wide aperture is that the optimum aperture is 1.5 to 2 stops closed down from wide open. So if wide open is 1.4, and then 1.8, and then f2, that's 2/3 of a stop. And then the next is 2.2, 2.5. Well, now 2.5 is starting to be your sharpest aperture. And here's what else is happening. The problem is that you have such a narrow depth of field, that like you have literally this much distance, the distance in between those 2 points, which is like, I don't know, 3 millimeters, 4 millimeters. Like that's your focus point. It's in focus, out of focus, in focus, out of focus. It's so close. When you're new, it's really hard to catch because you can see like you didn't catch the focus at all. And we're looking at this back eye, this back lens. That's the closest thing that's to focus. But what should be in focus is right here, which is the front eye. This nose should be in focus. And also, you'll see, because you're shooting with such a wide aperture, that the photo goes from kind of in focus back here to very out of focus over here. And that's just him on an angle this way, meaning where his eye is here and where his eye is here. That distance between those two planes are making it so this picture's out of focus. So that's why we don't shoot wide open. And secondly, it's the center composition. Like center composition, when we're new to photography, we hold the camera this way and we take a picture because that's where the shutter button is. This is the most natural to hold. But the world, people are vertical. People like are long and thin. And also there's nothing important that's on this side of the photo and nothing important over here. What is important is what's happening down here because he's wearing an outfit, a cool leather jacket. Like, let's see more of his outfit. And also you can then make it a magazine cover, right? But when you're thinking about shooting a photo, when you make it horizontal and you drop your subject dead center, this is what happens when it gets published. This is what happens when it's in a magazine, is that it's actually your main subject falls on the gutter. So there's no place to put your picture except for on 1/2 of one page, meaning your photo can now only go either here, or it can go, obviously on the other page, it can go here or it can go here. So now you've turned the real estate that could be a double page spread, and now you're giving yourself only 1/4 of a page because of the center composition. And you'll see that if you just look in magazines and see center focused horizontals and see where they're placed, you'll notice they're always placed like on 1/2 of one page. The next thing is with Instagram, because Instagram is like a vertical platform. What happens is if you use a vertical photo, it shows almost all of the photo. Right? Now, if you show a horizontal photo, which I actually rarely do on Instagram because of that reason, if you show a horizontal photo, and in fact, if you scroll Instagram, like people really don't post horizontals. Why? Because they look like this. They only take that much real estate versus all the real estate that a vertical photo gets. Like, so, I mean, there's so many videos here. Again, the horizontal real estate that you get, and when you shoot a vertical, the vertical real estate that you get. So when we're shooting people, we really have to train ourselves to shoot vertical because it uses so much more of the real estate. And also, yes, the wide open gives you beautiful bokeh and all that, but all of that beautiful bokeh doesn't mean anything if your main subject isn't tackety tack tack. My suggestion for you is do not go lower than 2.5. Let that be your favorite aperture instead of 1.4. Ladies and gentlemen, our first beginner submission. Guys, that was Ken LeBlanc. Ken, thank you so much. I hope that brought you value. Our next photographer is not a beginner. Travis Silverman is not a beginner, but Travis is submitting to our foundations. Our foundation submission. Travis says, I'm not sure if I'm too late for this one, but this local author, Aviva Rubin, who I shot a few days ago for her professional headshots. Her book launch is tonight. Shot in studio, lit with a Yelden Chrome DX4 light with a Westcott 7-foot umbrella. Nikon Z6 Mark II with a Nikkor 24-70 f4, shot at 1/25th of a second, f10 at ISO 100. I want you guys to listen to the f-stops that you hear the more experienced photographers shooting with, and it's going to give you like a good test of like where your aperture range should be. Ladies and gentlemen, Travis Silverman. Travis, this is so great. I mean, Travis is in my professional accelerator. Let's look at this as a cover. Travis is in my professional accelerator. You can see the editorial feeling to this photo. You can also see that Travis has an understanding as to how to remove all the distractions. Also an understanding of light and exposure, and also how to use apertures in order to give you this kind of sharpness. Travis, this is absolutely a win and a fantastic editorial picture. This will for sure go in your portfolio. This is beautiful, Travis. Thank you so much. I mean, it's almost unfair because you're submitting to the foundations, fundamentals assignments, which for you, like, you just are so much more experienced. And you're going to see now, like, this is the first one that I've done that was kind of just open, like, show me your people stuff. So there are a few of my more experienced members that submitted here. But what I'm trying to do is encourage you to, the new people who are watching, to sign up for my submission community and do these beginner assignments. It's going to make you so good. Trust me, it's going to make you so good. Travis, that is an excellent photo, an amazing shot for your portfolio. Next is the one they call Marilyn Williams. Marilyn says, hey, Carty, thank you for opening up the fundamentals group. This is an elderly lady in the community that I enjoy learning from. She allowed me to make some images of her. I thought I'd submit this one. It was taken with a Sony RX100 at 1/25th of a second. 1/250th of a second, my bad. 4.5 ISO 800. This is Marilyn Williams from New York. Ladies and gentlemen, Marilyn Williams. Marilyn, you have something. You have something, absolutely. You have something for sure. Here's what I want you to do. Number one, I want you to stop cropping your photos for Instagram. Meaning stop doing squares. Okay. Number one, there are no square magazines. There's no square billboards. There's no square magazines. Okay. When you're in the headspace where you're shooting for Instagram, you do things like this, which is crop your photos to almost square. This does not work with proportions, meaning As a magazine cover, it's too wide. I know that there's more of this picture. So now one of my stipulations for my assignments is that I want your photos uncropped. When you're a new photographer, you don't know about cropping. So therefore you should be shooting everything like and sharing the entire frame. When you share the entire frame, I can help you with cropping. I can help you with framing. But when you're cropping out stuff, I can't really see what you're actually doing because you're pre-cropping out stuff, so I don't see it. You know what I mean? So don't do that. But what you are doing that I love is you are nailing the focus and you are nailing the exposure and so many technical things you're nailing. Look at the skin. I mean, sadly, she's wearing a hat, right? And this brim of the hat, this is shadowing the eyes, which is a big part of this photo. Like, but they're in focus. She's also looking down. Obviously, grandma's looking down. So it makes it a little bit different to get that magic eye contact. But what I would love, if you reason with her all the time, is take a photo of her without her hat on. Take a photo of her without her hat on. Take a photo of her without her mask on. Make her just have a moment so we can actually really see her, because you have an understanding of composition. I also want you to make sure that you're not low, like aiming up. Newer photographers love the like, oh, let me get low. It's like, when you look at magazines, you'll see that exists never. Like, nobody who has experience does that. Like, the idea is to present your subject at the same eye line, at the same perspective that she is. So when you present your subject to the viewer is seeing them exactly like they were standing there right in front of that subject. And that's never or looking down on somebody. You know what I mean? So what we're trying to do is remove all distractions from the background, all distractions. Like, that's what we're looking at. We're looking at these lines and we're looking at this square. We're looking at this stuff up here. This is what we're looking at. And if we're shooting somebody's face or trying to shoot their face, well, let's move this hat out of the way. Let's take this mask out of the way so we're not blocking the light down here, and then let's actually shoot a photo. So for you, Marilyn, it's just slowing down, but you have something that I can see in this single photo. So guys, Marilyn, let's go. I'm giving you props for that one. That is Marilyn Williams, everybody. And for you, Marilyn, I'm giving you an 11 because of your strong technical ability. Congratulations. Guys, that was Marilyn Williams. Our next photographer is Torrance Davis. Torrance says, I'm a competitive kayak. I was glitching there. I swear to God. I was like glitching. Oh my goodness. All right. Torrance Davis says, I'm a competitive kayak angler and I would like to bring my setup to take pro photos of the anglers during our awards ceremony. Or I would bring my setup to take, or said, and I would bring, not I would like to, but I would bring my pro photo setup of the anglers during our award ceremony. This is Frank. He won some hobby eyewear, and posed for a pic. Something about this photo screamed black and white to me. It was one of my favorite photos of the season. Fujifilm X-T3 16 to 80 f4, shot at 5.6 at 35.8 millimeter, ISO 160, shutter 250 of a second, Godox strobe with umbrella. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Torrance Davis. Torrance, very, very, very well played. Very well played. Really nice with the light. I mean, the light's a little simple, and you can see, simple in the fact as far as the placement, it's very direct, but you kind of had to do that because he's wearing this hat. And much like Marilyn, if you had have lit a little bit higher with the molding, you would have had this shadow, which is existing here. That shadow could have dropped down here, and then we would have lost these really punchy eyes. So I definitely see that. We're missing the focus just a little bit when we're coming in here. I'm sure your camera has eye tracking. Make sure that your eye tracking is on. And the point that we're looking for is we focus on this point right here, which is where the white and the color of the eye join. That's where we're trying to grab focus. You can see here as I get in tight, the face is kind of soft. Looking at the mouth, you can see that the mouth is kind of soft. And as we're scrolling down into the shirt, well, that's what you focused on. You put your focus on Hobie Eyewear. That was the focus, is making sure that you got the box in focus. But the issue is the aperture that you chose does not also get his face in focus. So you can see the distance between this plane and this plane back here, where his head is here, his hands are coming out, and he's holding the box here. So his nose, his eye versus the front of the box and his hands, that distance here, it could be 12 inches. Could be 12 inches. And that 12 inches is not enough for you to get the tight aperture that you need based on shooting at 5.6. FYI, no, 5.6, bro. It's like F8, F11, F16 when you're shooting in the studio. Then, because guess what? You don't need depth of field. You don't need depth of field. Look at behind. It's just black. So you don't need depth of field here. You don't need depth of field. What you need is exposure. What you need is focus. So, and depth. So that means you can increase your aperture so you know for sure your eyeballs and these hands are both going to be in focus. And that happens not at 5.6. And just FYI, the way that apertures go is there's small, medium, and large. But the way that the apertures go is they go like this. They go from the tiniest, call this f22, to the fatty, and call this, I have a 1.2 lens, but we'll call this 1.8 for the newbies. Some people have 1.4s, some people have, but just imagine that that's the range, right? Now, because of that, there's also, this is the least depth of field, and this is the most depth of field. So when do you want the least depth of field? Well, really, never. You never are trying to shoot with a depth of field that's shallower than f2.5, because you're going to run into real focus problems. Real. So this is some teaching here. Teachable moments. Don't let your aperture go. If you're shooting with a prime, you're shooting with a 50. If you're shooting with a lens that goes to 1.8, like 1.2, 1.4, don't shoot narrower than like a stop less than all the way wide open, if that makes any sense. Like a stop closed down from all the way open. Then you're going to have some depth. So how I actually do this is I choose ranges. Like there's what I call aperture ranges. So what I do is I do like this: open, mid, narrow, right? So open is from like say 2.5 to call it f4. Okay. Oh, let me hide my ugly mug. So open is from 2.5 to say f4. And then apertures, mid apertures are 5.6 to f11. And then narrow are f16 to, I mean, I have a lens that goes to f32. So let's say beyond 16. Okay. So there's open, mid, and there's narrow. So why would you use an open? This is, well, you want bokeh or you want shallow depth of field. But I notice I didn't say wide open because that brings in other problems. Okay. So why would you shoot mid apertures? You're shooting in the studio. You're shooting strobe. You're shooting a group. A small group. Small group. Okay. Now, why would you want narrow apertures? You're doing landscape. You're shooting architecture. You're doing product photography. You want you're doing food. Infinite depth of field. And you're doing a large group. Large group. This is all why you want narrow apertures. So there's reasons for each of the open, mid, and narrow. You love my writing? I'm a total doctor today. So that's photo education 101 and why and when to shoot a certain aperture. There's always, if I'm in the studio, if I'm plugging in lights, I'm starting at f8. Starting at f8. That's where we're starting. You know what I mean? Starting. And it's like I just increase the lights until I get f8. And I'm never in the studio shooting less than f8. You know? Unless I'm really doing something tricky. But it's rare. It's rare. Usually it's about technical perfection. And when you think about that, like just the technical perfection side, then it becomes like when you're shooting in the studio, then it becomes like this. Like then it becomes like you get so technically insane with your light that you can do technically insane things. But it's all based on this foundation that we're building. We're building a foundation. And this is why I wanted to start this whole foundations, fundamentals photo review channel, because a photo review show, because I think that it's necessary for newer photographers to see how it happens and all the different things that you have to put together in order to be just like ripping the kind of photography that you see people submitting on this channel. I'm convinced that the best photographers on the internet watch me. I'm convinced that the best photographers on the internet watch me as I'm showing you some of my portfolio images. All right. So back to our torrents. For me, this is a banger. Okay. I'm giving you an 11. I know what you're trying to do here. You're so close. This is a fantastic photo. A fantastic photo. You should be hella proud. I hope what I told you today will make it so the next time that you shoot pro anglers, you're shooting at f11 and a half. So you know that this stuff is rock solid. But do me a favor, do literally the same setup, because this setup is absolutely sick. Congratulations. You're just going to get better. And also with your black background, you can see the fabric is actually starting to render. Keep in mind that what we do for black is velveteen. Black velveteen and thick velveteen. Okay, thick velveteen is what we use for jet black. You see how there's fabric marks there? And then notice when you see me shooting on black, which I do quite often. do you notice how jet my black is? It's because I shoot using velveteen. That is why I'm absolutely able to get the richest blacks. This is velveteen. And with velveteen, they can be actually leaning directly on the background. They can be leaning on it. And it still gives nothing but 100% black. It's absolutely a miracle. So velveteen is the fabric that you need if you're trying to render 100% black. I hope that brings you value. That is Torrance Davis, everybody. Thank you, Torrance, for submitting. Our next submitter is Randolph Grubbs, and this photographer has leveled up incredibly since you've been watching me. Like, Randolph, like, what is happening here? This is absolutely brilliant. I shot this over the weekend with a Canon 1DX 24-70 2.8 with an ND filter and a 600 watt second strobe with a 45-degree reflector, using hard light to imitate sun. This is big brain stuff from you now, Randolph. Shot at 70 millimeter at 500th of a second, f11 at ISO 100. This is Randolph Grubbs the second. Let's go, Randolph. This is so good. You are really starting to get there. Look at this as a cover. This is really strong. A couple of small things. I want you to watch your headspace. Like, you can see what it looks like when it's a cover. So make sure that you're not going too high here with the headspace. Also, it seems that you're very deliberately trying to keep this sizing down here, but you have to understand, like, when this goes to an 8x10, you lose, this is 1 inch, call that 1 inch, call this, well, that's a bit more than an inch, 1 inch. So this is where your picture ends when you post to Instagram. It's actually a little bit forgiving. I'm going to call it here, is where your picture ends when you post to Instagram. So we have to remember, when we're shooting, our cameras create 8x12s. Our cameras create 8x12s. Okay? It's 8 inches this way and 12 inches down. But Instagram is 8x10, or also known as 4x5 proportion. When we shoot 8x12, 8x12 is actually 2x3 proportion. So we have to pre-crop in our minds when we shoot vertical. We have to give ourselves more room, top and bottom, in order for it to go to Instagram and crop down to 4x5. That has to be like locked in. Whenever you shoot a vertical, you're losing a little bit top and bottom. Now, the difference is when you're shooting horizontally. When you're shooting horizontally, you're actually, this direction is 12 and this direction is 8. So when you're shooting, oops, I'm doing it on the wrong screen, Steve, you fool. Okay, so this is 12 and this is 8. So when you're shooting horizontally, this is actually 3x2. So you can't crop horizontals because they are actually 2 pages in a magazine exactly. So this is why when you shoot horizontally, you can't drop your subject dead center, because you can't move it over without radically ruining the photo. So when you're shooting horizontal, there's no crop. It is the entire picture. So placement of your important thing has to be here or here. And you have to be wary of the gutter. Now, when you shoot vertically, verticals are different. Verticals now, you are losing a little bit top and a little bit bottom. So there is a little bit of crop. So verticals, you have to give a little bit more room. So does that help you? I hope that helps as far as like vertical, horizontal cropping, and when you would do both and when you would do either. Randolph, as far as your photograph, this is really great. Your light here on the face. Ooh, I got to hide that. The light here on the face with this, it's close, but the idea is that light travels in straight lines, right? So what we're trying to do, and how I'm going to show you that light travels in straight lines, is I'm going to take the tip of his nose shadow and go to the tip of his nose here. And then also you can see it goes right through the highlight in his eyes. And that shows you exactly where the direction of the light was coming from based on the tip of his nose. So, and you can also see the axis of where that light is here. So because of that, and I know your placement, and I know that light travels in straight lines, and I see where your nose shadow is here, I want that nose shadow here to join this shadow better and take away this part of the light. I want this part to also be in shadow. So what I have to do is this nose shadow, I have to force it downwards. And how I have to do that is by taking this line here and increasing that angle. And I do that by changing the angle of the light. So what we do now is, because we want the nose shadow, we want this tip to be down here. That means now we just move the angle of the light. Oops, that's not the right tool. We just move the angle of the light. So now that it's a little bit higher. And that's going to push that shadow down. So these are small things. Your focus is killer. Your exposure is killer. The way that you overpowered to the sun to then give us niceness back here is great. You managed to keep this pole out of the way so it's not growing out of him or growing out of you dropped your horizon line down low so you have him up against sky. Randolph, this is killer. I'm giving you an 11 for this picture. This is an absolute winner. You are looking like you are far from a beginner now, my friend. And I know where your photos were when you first started. Or when you first started submitting. So this is what I'm asking for. Now that it's a new subject, now that it's a new person that you're photographing, and it's not self-portraits, it's not photos of your wife or your friends, it's like now we're like expanding who's in front of your camera, and you can see the work that you're doing. This is actually truly fantastic. Randolph Grubbs the second, everybody. Congratulations. That's a fantastic photo. All right. This is Sean Thomas. Sean Thomas says, blessings, Carty crew. I hope all are well. Here's a shot I took back in 2020 while walking the streets of Wasaga Beach. Never heard of it. I shot wide open. You said, haha, I shot wide open. 1/800th of a second at 2.8, ISO 100, 45 millimeter Tamron, 24-70, f2.8. It's so funny. He's like, I shot wide open. Because, I mean, this is a shot from 2020, right? Cancel. Yeah, this is a shot from 2020, right? So it's just like, yes, open it. Why are you downloading it? I just want you to open it. Open image in new tab. Yeah, it's weird, Sean. It keeps downloading this picture. Like, I don't know if it's like a wrong file extension. I'll tell you in a second. I'll tell you in a second. Date added. Yeah, it keeps just giving me, it's weird. It's not downloading properly. I don't know what the file type is. Yeah, it's not opening in a new tab. It just keeps downloading. It's downloaded like 4 times, but then when I look for the download, it's not there. So that's weird. I think this guy's just downloading viruses to me. Yeah, this is very weird. Date added, it's not showing up in my downloads. So I can show it this way, Sean, but I can't look at it bigger. I don't know what's happening. Like, look, I right click it, I say show image in new tab, and then it just downloads the image and shows me nothing. So I've tried it 4 times. And then when I open the downloads folder, it's not there. So please check your file extensions before you send photos to me. Like, please make sure it's a JPEG. Make sure, like, it didn't and I'm not rebooting my whole thing. It's not opening for me. You see that it's not opening for me. Yours is the only one. So especially because it's an old photo that you just grabbed and threw in here. Yeah. Anyways, for me, this isn't really the point of this. Although I said, yes, it's okay for me to look at new photos or old photos. You're just so much different than here, Sean. This is a cool shot. It's definitely composed on the thirds. Because it's composed on the thirds, it doesn't work for a double page spread because he's going to be too close to the gutter, blah, 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 blah. It's a JPEG. I still can't open it. I showed you. So yeah, and again, this is, Sean, for you, this is not the purpose of this folder. I know you might see, there's not a lot of submissions. Let me just throw something in there from back in the day. It's like, yeah, I got it. But for you, you're so much more advanced than this photo. Your work, this isn't going to go in your portfolio. This isn't one of those shots where you were unsure of, is this good enough for my portfolio? I'm not sure. It's not like one of those reasons. This is just, here, look at this. Because I know the level of your work and I can't open it. So it's just frustrating me. So yeah. I can't do anything with that, Sean. Steinmetz says, this is Caliana. And my niece from, this is my niece shot from a Japanese festival in Springfield. She was trying on a yukatana summer kimono. This niece, I gifted my 5D Mark II to. She wants to be a marine photographer, biologist when she grows up. Amazing. 5D. This is shot with the R8 50mm 1.8, 1/25 of a second, 7.1, ISO 125. This is Michael Steinmetz, and this is a bit outside of your niche, Michael, which is good. Mike, this is great. I mean, I love seeing you exercise some new ideas. You had all the right elements here for me. You had all the right elements. Like, you're definitely very, very close with the focus, but because we're backlit, you can see the light that's coming back here. It tricks the camera, and it means it's not going to give you an accurate exposure without exposure compensation. With this one, I would have done exposure compensation like 2/3, like plus 2/3, which is like 2 clicks above normal because you're backlighting. Another way to do this is using spot metering, which will meter more just this area of the photo and not be tricked by this, and these bright areas back here. But when I do look at those bright areas back here, I see somebody's feet back here. I see a table leg. I see some cardboard box over there. And when I look back here, I see a bunch of people standing back here and different colors and such. So for me, it's like she's got this amazing kimono. We're in this great, beautiful girl, natural light. Like, can't you take her over here and shoot it that way so we don't see these kinds of distractions? Because at first glance, yes, you see her and the kimono and the flowers and that, but we are masters of removing distractions. And seeing this tent, it means you didn't go far enough. It's like she was over here and you just were like, all right, come here and let's take the photo. It's like, no, go travel further so you can really, really remove all the distractions. If you had done that and got the exposure on her here, like another third, like give another third of exposure, which would make that face just snap a little bit more and not feel muddy. There's also a bit of a cast mic, and mic's in my Pro Accelerator, so I can break this stuff down. 1/25th on handheld. Like, well, you held that up pretty well, Mike. I can handheld down to a 15th of a second. So that might be part of the reason why you didn't have tackety tack tack here. But for me, it's still an 11 because it's such a departure from the work that you shoot normally. And it's necessary for you to also learn this skill set. It's going to help you with your commercial jobs. It's going to help you to just be able to really find a perfect spot. And these light patches, like you'd look at your frame and be like, those light patches are actually taking our eye away from her face. Because anything that's brightest, we're going to look at first. So we see this first, then we see this, then we see this, then we see her face. So, and Mike, yes, you absolutely need to start including more people in your photos because that it's just a necessary skill set. It's going to train you. It's going to train you up. It's going to train you to just be quicker on your feet. You know what I mean? So I'm proud of you because I know you did do some heavy lifting in order to get yourself to this spot. But just practice makes perfect, my guy. Practice makes perfect. And with photography, you get to practice your entire life and always get better. It's kind of a cool thing. You get to practice your entire life and always get better. Yeah. It's hard to find subjects, Mike. It definitely is. This is David, Breakfast with Papa. One of my friends held an art show with her father, who recovered recently from 2 strokes in Chicago, celebrating Colombian culture. Canon 5D Mark III, 50mm 1.8, shot at 2.8, 200th of a second, ISO 500. This is David Holmes. David, definitely starting to get a vibe here. I see exactly what you're doing. We see in this case, you're doing the make sure that your main subject is tight. Exposure is absolutely great. Focus is great on Papa. But then we scan the rest and you can see out of focus, very, very out of focus, and just in focus. So what you're seeing is his face plane and her face plane are very close. Her face plane is behind hers, and hers is way back, and then her. So how you've set up this photo is you've literally set up this photo in a way that you have, here's your camera position, you have your main subject, you have a person here, a person here, a person here, a person back here, and a person here. So you're shooting a circle, and the depth of field between here and here, that distance, it's greater than 3 feet. It's greater than 4 feet. So because of that, you need an f-stop that is in the middle range. We talked about open, mid, and narrow. You need to be in the upper mid range, f11. Like, that's kind of got to be where it is. And if I look at yours, I'm going to guess, and I forget what your f-stop was. I'm going to guess 5.6 or less. I'm going to guess just based on the photo. And your f-stop? 2.8. 2.8. David, 2.8. Group shot. That's where it gets bit. That's where you get bit. That's the reason. You shot this with strobe at 2.8. Like 2.8, And also you're setting your photos up in a circle. That's not how we do it. We have to have everybody on the same plane as Papa. Or you have to shoot at f16. So you can't do it both ways. You literally can't. And the first frame that you shoot, as soon as you shoot a frame, you zoom in, you check this eye, then you zoom back here and you check that eye. If they're both in focus, you're good. But they weren't. But you noticed exposure and you noticed focus on him was perfect. So you continued. So that's what, like, this is group shot 101. And then also when you're shooting a group shot, this just becomes like, this stuff never works for print. It never works for print. It's very difficult. Now you see if Papa was biased and you put him right here, you put his head right here, now there's room and you moved this one over this way and this one over this way. Now these two are centered perfect on that and you have room for the gutter to come in between them. So all of this stuff like has to be thought of when you're making photos. It's like a lot compositionally and group shots. There's so much to think about. You rarely is it just, all right, set them up and click. All right, amazing. Thank you. Unless you're like, you have the kind of experience that I have where I'm just like, what F are you shooting with? Look at the front focus. Look at the back focus. Is everyone in focus? Are they lit? What do the shadows look like? Like, what are the distractions? Where does the gutter fall? Like, all of that stuff we have to think about. Well, listen, Ryan Troy is saying you got to think about magazine with family photos. No, you don't have to think about anything. Really, like, I don't give a fuck. It doesn't matter. Shoot whatever you want. Like, you don't have to think about anything when you do anything. You can just do it. Like, who cares, right? But David is in my Pro Accelerator program. David is trying to be a photographer. So David needs to actually know how to shoot a group shot if he's trying to get paid to make photos at some point. Because if someone was paying him to make this photo and that was grandma in the back who died the next year and the only photo that they have is out of focus of her, would you not want to, like, in fact, would you not want to practice on your family? So when things are actually at stake, you know, like, you got it. You know what I mean? Because you got a bunch of willing customers, willing people who aren't paying you, who love you, who will let you, like, practice on them. But when it, like, this is, and Ryan, I hate being so dry, but people just pick up a camera and just shoot photos. It's like, okay, well, it's cool. But when you're trying to get serious about it, or when you're putting your photos up for critique, or you're asking, what could I do to make this photo better? I'm going to tell you. And I'm telling you right now, that's what you would do. Because, like, well, does it matter that grandma's out of focus in the back? Well, maybe not to you, but maybe to grandma it does, or to the sisters it does, or to the poppy it does. You know what I mean? So it's like, and when flash is involved, if you're using strobe, then part of knowing how to use strobe is knowing how to use strobe with a group and making sure you got the right f-stop to get everyone in focus. So, like, even if I'm doing beginner photo reviews, I'm never going to just say being shit is okay, you know, or like, not like the technical and being shit. That's not what I mean. I mean, like, I'm never going to just be like, that's great. I'm not going to just be a yes man, is a better way to say it. I'm going to say, if there's mistakes that are made, I'm going to be like, hey, what about this? What about this? What about this? This is the whole reason people watch me. This is the whole reason why people watch these shows, is because you're learning something. You know what I mean? There's too many yes men on YouTube that are just like thinking that they're great. And yeah, they're just shooting bullshit photos and teaching you how to do the same. So that's like not what we're trying to do here. So David is paying me $97 a month in order to help him get to the next level with his photography. Because of that, I have to be a little different with David, and I have to have a different level of expectation of him. All right, let's get into our next and final review. Calligraphy says, contributing to this week's first fundamentals assignment to help raise morale. Thank you. Okay. Again, I'm going to ask my cartel staff and I'm going to ask my accelerator members to be using this forum. And you're going to see it's going to be silly. The assignments that I'm giving, they are really going to be for beginners. So I'm going to start saying, accelerator members, no, you can't post in these because it's such a drastic difference in experience that it makes the people who are less experienced. Like, I started this photo review thing for the less experienced. So now if the more experienced people are just putting their photos in here, well, it makes the people who are less experienced feel like they don't have a place, right? So don't fill my folder for morale, please. I don't need you to do that. I would rather have no photos in there and just talk about something else. You know what I mean? But you'll see from now that will never, ever be the case. So please don't do that anymore. All right, guys, so this is calligraphy richly. Like, it's like you guys have been watching me for years and like have been implementing everything that I've been telling you for years, months, and doing pro assignments. You're in my pro accelerator. You get so much more knowledge from me than the average person. And then you put your work in this folder and then it looks like this. Like, now your work looks like this. And is this beginner? Is this a beginner photographer? Hell no. Hell no. This is a fully experienced photographer that's been doing this for a minute. And calligraphy, this is amazing, by the way. It's amazing. But I want to see this in, number one, your portfolio. Number two, a shot when it applies to an assignment that I'm giving for the pro. This is an editorial fashion photo. This is an editorial portrait. Very, very, very good. Very good. But definitely does not apply to this assignment today. Exposure. This is hot, meaning this is too bright, meaning drop this down by 1/3 of a stop at least. This, I'm hoping, is gray. If this is black, and if these pants are black, this is very gray. So that, again, go back to exposure. Shadow detail could be a little richer. It's feeling just a little bit washed out. I want to see this picture again. When I say hot, that means too bright, by the way. Yeah. So, small things. Calligraphy, it's an amazing shot. Look at it as a cover. It's brilliant. It will go in your portfolio, but just nail the exposure. It's fantastic. It's super, 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 super good, but it's too good for this. Like, this isn't what this is for. I'll say again, fundamentals, not about to be making $100,000 with a living with their camera. You know, like, you have your own reviews. Those are on Thursday. I'm going to be crystal clear to all my accelerator members. No more submitting to this folder. Cool beans? Okay. All right, guys, are you ready for this week's assignment? Guys, beginners gang, pros, like, you know, and we're trying to bring these people over. So what pros should be doing is commenting on the fundamentals guys and helping them get better, like I'm doing. Not being like, hey, look at my photo. Hey, there was no photos in here. No photos in here. Just want to put a photo in here because, you know, morale. Please no. Please, 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 please no. Guys, are you ready for... This is the last time I'll say that. And again, if I see accelerator member photos in there, I'm just going to not going to review them. Because again, it's like the way that this works is... You have four submissions that you can do. When you submit here, it's meaning that you can't submit now to the pro assignment on Thursday. Because it's like, I'm not reviewing 8 photos for you per month. You know what I mean? So 4 one or the other. But if you're this good, it's more what I'm trying to say is trying to get foundations people, fundamentals people to submit to the pro assignment. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to get. But when it goes backwards, it's just like, it's like you're going to Little League and you're an adult and you're just crushing home runs and being like, yo, look at that home run. You know what I mean? It's not a thing. Please don't do that. Not saying that my beginners are Little League, but in the level of experience, yeah. Yeah, it's just I just, you guys go easy on each other in chat. I understand all the methodologies as to the why you would do such a thing. I get it. I know why. But that's what I'm here for. Please be like, hey, Carty, I'm thinking about doing this thing. Should I do it? And then I'll be like, please don't. And then it doesn't happen. And then it just is actually preventative. All right. So let's get into this week's assignment. Yeah? You into it? This week's assignment? What I do every week is I create an assignment for you, the beginner photographer. And if this is the first time that you've ever watched this beginner show, you just saw me ream out some experienced photographers for submitting to in the beginners thing. Don't do that. This is for my beginners. This is for new photographers. I'm trying to help them. I'm already helping you somewhere else. Number one, join my mentorship community, because these people they're so passionate. They're so like helpful. Like they're tripping over each other to help you. So please hang out with us. There's almost 500 people in the mentorship community. Go to thecartymethod.com to figure out how to join. You ready? You ready for the Fundamentals Wheel of Destiny? Oh, oh. Where's my wheel? The Fundamentals Wheel of Destiny. Well, that doesn't look very good. Let's bring that back down again. Let's bring it back down again. There it goes. All right. It was broken there. All right. So this is your assignment if you choose to do it. And again, I'm going to put this assignment in the assignment folder. I'm going to be reviewing the first 30 photos that are submitted. The first 30 photos. Okay. Here we go. Let's spin the wheel of assignment destiny. It looks like it is a manual exposure assignment. Manual exposure. So here we go. Let's get into your manual exposure image. I have to find my beginner photo assignments. Here we go. Manual exposure practice. This is what we're doing. I want you to set your camera to manual mode, and I want you to try capturing the same scene with different exposure settings. I want you to shoot something overexposed. I want you to shoot something greatly underexposed, and then something correctly exposed. I want you to notice the difference between +2 stops, +1 stop, +2/3 of a stop, +1/3 of a stop, normal, -1/3, -2/3, -1 stop, -1/3, 1 2/3, like, and then I want you to give me what you think is a perfect exposure. Okay? What do I shoot? What do you shoot? How about this? I'm going to ask you to shoot whatever you like. Doesn't matter what you shoot. But what it does matter is that you do this exercise this week. It'd be nice if you shot something interesting, but I don't care what you shoot, because what we're doing is this is manual exposure practice. set your camera to manual mode. And again, there's a reason that I'm asking you to do this exercise, but I promise you, you're not going to be shooting in manual mode much unless you're using a light meter. But it is important for you to, here's some tricks. Shoot in aperture priority, take a picture, see what the exposure is, then turn it to manual, and then start playing around with exposure there. Okay? I'm trying to help you learn what normal exposure visually looks like on the back of the camera and in Lightroom. So process that picture that you think is normal, process it however you like, and send it to me uncropped. Okay? This week, I am not asking for a horizontal or a vertical. I'm asking you to just do manual exposure practice. Capture the same scene with overexposure, perfect exposure, underexposure. Give me what you think is the best exposure, and I want you to note how your photo changes as you're going through the exposure range. It's way more fun if you send me a photo of something that's interesting. It's way more fun if you send me a photo of something that is interesting, something that you're interested in looking at. And lastly, I am going to give a couple of accolades. Number one accolade is going to be Photo of the Week. I'm going to give, because there's not that many submissions this week, I am giving, again, beginners. This is people who have never submitted before and are newer to photography. Ladies and gentlemen, our first fundamentals photo of the week goes to, make sure I get the name right. Jeez. All right. Yeah, I was right. All right, guys. First, Foundations photo of the week goes to the one and only Torrance Davis. Torrance, photo of the week, buddy. Let's go. Cool Kip. Adjust all you like. But again, don't slide that exposure slider. Like, the whole idea is that if you pick the right exposure, you shouldn't have to adjust exposure that much. Feel free to do any other adjustments that you like, but I'm looking for as perfect a manual exposure as you can give me. Because it's really, you can shoot something perfect and fuck it up in Lightroom, or shoot something unperfect and make it better in Lightroom. I'm trying to help you tune that so when you're in Lightroom, you don't really have to move the exposure slider too much at all. Not more than, like, say, 20%. You know, like, that's how good you are with exposure. Guys, this is our first photo of the week. Torrance Davis. Let's go, Torrance. Congratulations. Photo of the week. Our next photo of the week winner. Again, this photographer, new to submitting. Next photo of the week winner. This is Marilyn Williams. Marilyn, let's go. Applause, please. Photo of the week goes to Marilyn. Marilyn, please no cropping on your future photos. Please, 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 no cropping. I want to see the whole bit, but you have something. Congratulations on photo of the week. And our next, we're going to call this one a fundamentals photo of the week, but this is almost too good. This Mr. Randolph Grubbs the second photo of the week. Almost too good for this folder, my friend. Congratulations. This is fantastic. And the photo that I'm going to give the most amount of, and again, the photo I'm giving the most amount of love to, and this is going to be, we're going to call this our best in show. And ladies and gentlemen, our best in show for this particular round, best in show, again, it's, I can because I can. This is our best in show, people. This is Randolph Grubbs the second. This is our, let me open this photo properly and give you, let me do it like this, then do it like this. There you go. Again, Randall is a viewer. He's been submitting photos for off and on for 6 months or more. The progression and the jump that's happened here is incredible. So really, really great job. This is what I'm going to do. This new assignment which is manual exposure, you can see like I want to see your photos. I want to see newer photos. I want to see the best that you can do, but also I want to keep this loose enough that you're actually going out being like, okay, I'm doing an exercise, but you're also doing great photography. Keep in mind, let's just bring down the wheel to just show you what some of these future assignments are going to be, just to give you, and again, your assignment is manual exposure, but just to do a couple of test spins to see some of the other future assignments and how it applies so much to beginners. This one is all about framing. We're going to be teaching you vertical framing versus horizontal framing and what happens and why. The next is, and again, there's 25 of them. 25 of them. Exposure compensation. How to use aperture priority and shutter priority plus exposure compensation to shoot like a pro. This is how I shoot with exposure compensation. And again, this is what's going to make this so fun, because I'm not going to be quite as specific always with what you shoot, although sometimes I will be. You can see here, I'll be testing all the different metering modes, and I'm going to be showing you how to maximize and use the right metering modes by giving you a challenge to shoot in 3 different metering modes and then picking your favorite one and sending me that photo. So these beginner photo reviews are going to be fun, and I hope you're into it. And also, it's a great exercise. It's a great way for you to show what you can do with your camera. Just put your money where your mouth is. That's what we want to see. Like, if you're trying to do this and trying to take this a little bit more serious, the beginning of that is starting a feedback loop. How you start a feedback loop is simply by putting your work on the table for somebody more experienced than you to look at. For me, I'm a natural teacher. I've been a pro since I was 20 years old. I've been doing this for a good minute. And 34 years professional. I've traveled all around the world with my camera and shot for major campaigns, Nike and Apple, and I got published in Vogue. Anyways, that's enough about me. More about how this show is going to help you bridge the gap into, and again, as this assignment wheel, like, I'm going to constantly be evolving this foundations assignment wheel. And it's a great way for you, the brand new photographer. It's a great way for you to be like, okay, I have this guy. He looks at my photos on YouTube, and every week he tells me something that I could do better. And then the next week I go shoot, and like, you'll see your improvement like you're suddenly in photography school. And it's the low price of $27 a month. It's the same price that I charge for my pros. It's just photo reviews. That's just what they cost, whether you're at this level or brand new. And also, it includes access to my mentorship community. If you pay for photo reviews, you get my mentorship community. If you join my mentorship community for $10 and you want to upgrade to photo reviews, I give you a coupon code for $10 off. So your photo reviews are forever the same price, meaning like you still get them both for the price of $27. So That's the vibe. It's a bundle. My community and photo reviews for $27.99. Well, I think it's just $27 even. Guys, I hope today brought you value. And also, I think I want to try something new with these Zoom sessions. Every Tuesday, I do like an after party. It's like a Carte Method after party. What day that is, I think it's going to stay on Tuesday. I like it on Tuesday, but again, I'm always wanting more and more people to be able to participate. How you find that Zoom link is by being in the community. That's what reveals the Zoom link, and then you can hang out with us. I might stream this live. I might stream our after party, which ends up being just a group coaching session. It ends up just being anybody able to ask me direct questions, and I'll happily answer them and go in deep and be able to talk about victories and like things that they're stressing with. And like, it's such like a helpful thing. It's so fun. You get to actually see the faces of the people who watch me. Today, we usually do it like 15 minutes to 30 minutes after my podcast. Today is no different. But next week, I got a busy day today, but next week I might live stream this, and I might start doing members only. Like if you're a member, you'll be able to watch it on YouTube and participate, because you'll be able to participate if you're in my community because you have the link. If you're a member, you'll be able to watch on YouTube. Does that make sense? Anyways, guys, I hope today brought you value. Hang out in the community. I'm going to be, on Zoom. We'll call it like 1:45 or so, like 1:45 p.m. Eastern time for me. I'm going to jump in there and, answer any questions that you guys might have. I hope today brought you value. Imagine manual exposure. That is your assignment. If you go to the Carty Crew community, you will see this manual exposure assignment miraculously appear within the next hour or so. And then I'll be looking at the first 30 photos. So make sure, remember, the early bird gets the worm. Guys, I hope today brought you value.
This commercial-free live stream was brought to you by the members of this channel. If it wasn't for you, we'd have to fill up these live streams with ads that would just interrupt the flow. The members of this channel make commercial-free content during these live streams possible. Consider becoming a member for $5 a month today to gain access to secret live streams, live chats, and to show your support with that crown badge next to your name. Sharing is caring. If this content has brought you value today, share it, clip it, post it to your socials. Curating and sharing helpful content makes you an expert, even if the content you're sharing isn't yours. Be a curator and share this content with your network. If you're an emerging or struggling photographer that's trying to break free from your current 9-to-5 grind and transition to the life of a working pro photographer, that's our obsession here at the Carty Method. Register, get the support you need. If you're alone and struggling at this craft, make sure you join the Carty Method community. You'll always find help in the show notes. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Find your creative and business genius with the Carty Method.
As you know, I like to hand type every single person who becomes a member of this channel. I hand type their name out. It takes a long time. And I literally draw those crowns. Those are all hand drawn. If you became a member recently, you're going to see your name scrolling across the top of the screen, which I like. Well, it's really the top of the bottom of the screen, if that makes any sense. But I like to give love to the last 25 people. It usually takes quite a lot of time to do this, and I find myself doing this right up until moments before I start the show. Oftentimes, I'm late because I'm handwriting all of these names out of people who've newly joined my channel. because I love them so much. If you became a subscriber because you just found my smiling face recently, you're going to see your name scrolling across the bottom of the screen. I like to also show love to people who have found me and chosen to hit the subscribe button. You should hit the subscribe button if you made it to the end of this video. And also know this, I put out content daily here on this channel at 12 p.m. I do not notify existing subscribers of the content that I drop daily on this channel. And I'm talking long form, 5-minute or a full podcast, 5-10-minute videos or full podcasts every day at 12 o'clock or a live stream. So come back to my channel because there's new stuff here at 12. And also, I've just started posting shorts again. Can you believe it? I've started posting shorts. So we'll see if that brings more eyes to what we're doing here. Guys, visit thecartymethod.com for more help for you, the emerging photographer. One love. Thanks so much for watching.